look at life. But for me, like, look at God,
Hmm.
because my previous relationship was all about, I made the relationship God,
Right,
because instead of making a God within me, right, and loving myself
right.
and telling myself I'm not going to put any relationship, family, friend, or partner before my relationship with the Creator. Like, I'm not doing that.
Welcome to the Multiple Truths podcast. We're your hosts, Holly
And Brittany. This is a space where we can come together healing in community, where we share our self-love journeys, insights, and wisdom.
a space with no hierarchy or judgment, fostering love, compassion, and respect, and where we honor our differences. With open minds and hearts, everyone's truth is welcome here. We are in this together. Let's dive into the episode.
Hello and welcome back to the Multiple Truths podcast. You're here with Brittany today. As you guys can see, I'm in a new location. I think this is my first episode that I'm filming here in my new home. I'm not sure if this is going to be the setup. It probably won't be the permanent setup, but it's what I got. It's what I got going on for now. I'm excited to be here. I feel like we're in a whole other era. So for those of you who know, I've been traveling, I moved, and finally starting to feel a little settled. So I'm not sure exactly when this episode is going to be going out. I think in a couple weeks from now, but it's my first episode officially here in the new home, and I'm extremely excited about it. I hope that you all have been doing well. I know that the energies have been, at least for me, I feel feeling into the universal energies. It's been kind of crazy, a lot of transformation. So if you're going through any of that, know that you're not alone. I'm excited to dive into today's conversation. I actually have a TV personality joining me today. You might recognize him from the famous series, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette. I saw his Instagram and I thought, hey, do you know what? He's really on a healing journey. So I really wanted his perspective on his experience with reality TV. And we dive into a lot more than just reality TV. I want to make that very clear. It's not only about reality TV, but as a viewer, I always would watch reality TV and think like, oh my gosh, like this is so toxic, like the environment is toxic. This is just so terrible for these people, blah, 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 blah. And I really wanted to dive into conversation with somebody who has been through it. And Eric has actually used it as a catalyst for his growth. And you know what? Everyone's experiences are different, right? So he is going to talk to his experience today. But a little bit about Eric before we dive into the episode. Eric Bigger is a multi-talented TV personality, fitness expert, and motivational speaker. Dedicated to helping others achieve personal development, Eric also runs an executive coaching business, has authored 3 inspirational books, and is guided by a philosophy he coined called It's Miracle Season, which represents transformation, metamorphosis, and the evolution of mind, body, and spirit. His core areas of focus include advancing financial literacy, championing mental health, embracing wellness, and helping executives and entrepreneurs develop and scale their business. Adept at working with blue chip brands, Eric has served as both a brand ambassador and also as advisor to C-suite executives, sharing best practices in influencer strategy and DEI. So, without further ado, get cozy, get comfy, grab your coffee, grab your tea, or your wine, or your water. I was about to show you my water, but it's over there. And let's dive into the episode. Hello, Eric. Thank you so much for being here with us today. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to dive into conversation or into conversation. For those watching, some of them might recognize you from The Bachelor. And we're not only going to be talking about reality TV, but it was something that I really wanted to ask you about just
Yeah.
from an outsider, somebody who, I'm going to be honest, reality TV is so entertaining and I enjoy watching it, but I can't help but just like question and wonder what that journey is like for the contestants or people on reality TV through the journey, but also like afterwards and what happens afterwards. Coming across your social media, I can see that you've been on somewhat of a personal journey, a self-development journey. You're very much so about health and, fitness and mind, body, spirit, and all of that. So I'm curious, did reality TV, did that shape any part of this journey for you? I'll just kind of give you the floor and let you go from there.
Well, I always tell people, reality TV is just like life. It's the meaning you give it based on who you are.
Mm.
So every cast member, individual who's come on that platform, whether good, bad, or indifferent, is based on their experiences, right? Everybody's experience was different. Like my experience
Mhm.
is totally different than probably everybody else, right?
Right.
I was on TV for 10 weeks. It changed my life. All
Mhm.
my dreams came true. Um, I call those the ego dreams, ego success.
Uh,
But prior to that, I was already doing personal development. I
mm.
was already doing the work on myself. I was trying to figure out who am I, what am I, why am I here, what's my purpose.
Mm.
So TV was more of a manifestation of all the wisdom and knowledge I was gaining
Mhm.
without the experience.
Mhm.
So prior to TV, I had all this knowledge,
Mhm.
but I experience because I was reading all these books, was
Right.
going to seminars. So I had all the chatty patty, yeah, 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 yeah. But I had nothing to relate to what I knew.
Right.
So I think Joe Dispenza says knowledge is the precursor to experience. And
Mhm.
so I feel like TV was a manifestation of me getting all this knowledge because I studied successful people.
Mhm.
Like Tony Robbins was like my online mentor
Mhm.
in LA. I got to LA in 2010. I went on TV in 2017. So I already had a 7-year process of going through ups and downs of life.
Mhm.
Come to LA at 22, trying to figure out who I am. Boom, TV show came. And then it's like the whole world opened up to me where I was in 6 countries, fell in love. I did that show. I did another show. I did another show. Brand deals,
Mhm.
endorsements, mental health, writing books, podcasts. So it was kind of like pretty fast.
Yeah.
And I captured a lot of my dreams.
Mhm.
And so beyond TV, what people don't know is that I had already had like healers and energy workers and astrologers that
Mhm.
I was somewhat already working with.
Okay.
So I remember my first season coming off the Bachelorette. I had hired a PR and my healer Jolie say, look, now that you're so visible in the public, every day is game 7. So
Mhm.
the more affluence you have or the more visibility you gain, your spiritual currency has to be impact. Like you gotta go deeper into your spiritual realm.
Mhm.
And a lot of the things that I experienced on being in the public eye, being on TV, you can't prepare for.
No. Yeah.
Like with like family, friends, people of the past, new people you're meeting, uh, followers, men, women. It's a ecosystem of things you just don't know until you're in it.
Right.
And from there, like it was great. Like, I had all this success. All these years went by. Boom. So 7 years later, if I'm doing the math right, seven. No, that'd be last year would be 7 years later. But 2023 is when I hit my ego death. Where I had a
Okay.
spiritual awakening, and that's when and that was a 7 year. That's basically what I'm saying. 2023 was a 7 personal year number.
Got it.
Because I'm into like numerology, astrology,
Mhm.
human design,
Mhm.
all these things. This is what I do with my clients. But that year was pretty intense. Pretty, and
2023.
yeah.
It's interesting just really quickly because for me personally, 2023 was the most intense year as well. And I feel just like a lot of people collectively, I feel like a lot of us are going through our own awakenings in different ways. And it feels like 2023 was a year for a chunk of us. Anyways, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep going, but I just
No,
kind of wanted
I
to
mean
note that.
that like spearheaded this new version that I'm in because I've always been spiritual and I've always been connected to higher power, God, and just would keep things to myself. Now I'm not hiding that part of me because now I'm really into that space. I'm
Right.
really into spirituality, spiritual fitness, really knowing that my hands have power, my solar plexus. Like when I was in
Mm.
Peru and I did plant medicine for the first time,
Uh,
me being heartbroken and having betrayal and all this intense, experiences 2023 led me to Peru to do a 11-day plant medicine retreat with Wachuma. And it shifted my consciousness. It literally cleared my soul. Like I feel like heart coherence, like things left my spirit, like any trauma,
mm.
it just cleared me. I was just like a new person. I felt different. I felt lighter. I still wasn't grounded the way I wanted to be,
Right.
but I was cleared.
It takes
And
time. It takes time to ground, especially, I mean, I just got back from Peru. This is actually from Peru. So it's funny you mentioned that. A woman handmade it. And I was like, I'm going to wear that today because it's got the sunflowers on it. Anyways, but with plant medicine and all of that, Holly and I, the co host of this podcast, we talk about this a lot. Integration and grounding is so important. Even when you were talking about earlier, you had all the spiritual knowledge, all of the books, all of the this, all of the that, and then going on to reality TV. To me, what I'm hearing is it helped you integrate all of the knowledge that you were learning. Because it's one thing to like know all of the things, but until you integrate that into your being, your energy is not actually shifting. It's not actually changing until you actually become that. Does that make sense? Like how I'm trying to how I'm trying to
yeah,
articulate
so,
that.
I mean, I believe in my life. My life has been a movie. Like I've different realities, timelines coming from Baltimore, graduating from Hampton University, coming to LA, being here for 15 years. And I'm actually writing about this in a new book, Spiritual Fitness, that I met a friend of mine years ago who was a Olympic runner. And
Mm.
he had like fame, success, money. And then he came into my life, and I think it was like 26 or 27. And I think he was kind of like retiring from track and field, and he had like his identity crisis.
Mm.
But it was like we were swapping. Like I
Mm.
was trying to give him like the real experience of being human in the world
Mhm.
without real talent or gift. And his like he was preparing me for fame and fortune that I
Mm.
didn't know I was walking into because he was
Mm.
so special. I'm like, bro, trying to figure it out. Like, why do you want me to help you? You
Mhm.
older than me. But
Mhm.
I didn't understand what was happening.
Right.
And then he would tell me like years later it would manifest like watch this, you gotta do this, you can do that. And it was weird. And then I started thinking like, oh, I was in training. So
Right.
7 years, 2010 and 2016, 17, I was in training for
Mhm.
success publicly in the world to be who
Mhm.
I am today.
Mhm.
And it shifted me into a higher timeline, which Peru really, you know, jumped me off the mountain.
Mhm.
The spiritual work really works, and it changed my life. So I'm thankful for the integration of it all.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And I think too, when you are kind of thrown into the public eye like that, I feel like it can almost go one of two ways. And it sounds like it almost acted as a catalyst to your growth, in ways. I could only assume that it kind of pushes certain things to the surface that might be hiding within, if that makes sense. Forcing you to deal with, like you said, like all of people from the past, certain things that you can't really prepare for until you're going through it and walking through it. Personally, when I watch reality TV, I can't help but think, wow, this can be so damaging for a person. And like you said, experiences for everybody is so vastly different. I love this conversation because it sounds like your experience has been positive. I'm sure you've been through it. Like you said, 2023 sounds like it was very intense for you. But I look at other people on reality TV and I think, man, like, is this like, and this is just my own opinion, okay? Like, this is not me saying you need to agree or anything like that. But I look and I'm like, man, this is so damaging. Like, is this something we should be doing as a society? Like, all of these things. And then I'm kind of like, okay, Brittany, but that's their journey. That's their experience. That's what their soul chose for whatever reason. And I see the beauty in it at the same time, like the other side of it and how it can act as such a catalyst to one's growth and evolution. So it's nice to talk to someone who's been through it and has actually rose as a result of it, if that makes sense, like used it to grow. I'm curious, you keep talking about spiritual fitness, so I'd love for you to kind of explain that a little bit, what that means to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, shouts out to the Bachelor at ABC. I mean, it was healing for me. It
Mm.
transformed my life. All my dreams came true. And it's funny, I had a show producer who had me on the Sherry show about 2 years ago, the end of 2023, which was so a miracle. And I'll get to that once I start explaining spiritual fitness. He's like, E, you're the only guy I know from that franchise that's made a career off of one show.
Mm.
I really use that show as leverage to get into all the things I've always wanted to do in life: mental health, coaching, speaking, personal development, brand deals, partnership, DEIB, you name it, I've done it, right? From my soul. But spiritual fitness came alive when I was in chaos, right? Because I was in 2023 coming out of this space of influencer space because I have already done so many brand deals with some of the biggest companies. And my soul was just tired of being this face with a name, but for brand. Look at me, right?
Right.
I'm like, I'm so much more than what I look like and what I can market to the people.
Right.
I want that fulfill me. Like, shouts out to Dee Hirsch, Suicide Prevention Center, who I host and co-host and warm up the crowd for the 5K run and walk
Oh, I
for
love
people who
that.
to suicide, right? And shouts out to Power 106, who I had a partnership with mental health and all these beautiful things that I get to do because of the platform of ABC, but also because of the life I get to live. But coming out of that, to go back to, I knew the brand deal was slowing down for me, and I wasn't going to make the money I probably wanted to, or it was just oversaturated. Everybody was an influencer. Everybody was talking about whatever they were talking about. I had already hit a cap, like, I'm kind of over this. And so in that year, 2023, I've never gave fitness the attention, the notoriety, the love, the affection, and the validation it deserves. So fitness has been my wife. TV has been my mistress. You get what I mean?
Oh,
I've been
interesting.
on my wife
Mm.
of fitness with reality TV and the entertainment industry because it's like, it's enticing. Yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, cool. You got a TV. Okay, you book a commercial. Now what? Then it goes away. But fitness has never failed me. I got started into personal training in 2012 when because I always knew I wanted to be like a life coach. But I was like, I don't have no experiences. 22, 23, 24, who would listen to me? So I knew personal training and fitness would help me get there. The thing about 2023, I was such in a dark hole. And then at the time, I was dating someone who was severely depressed, who would tell me at times they didn't want to live. And I thought this was going to be my life partner, have kids. So it was like threw me off. Like, how's this happening? Like, so I was taking in that energy of that. I was dealing with my own suffering. My dad was in and out of the hospital. Like, I thought he was going to transition. It was 2023 was heavy, revy. So when I thought about it, I was like, oh, any dark moment in my life, any dark time, what got me through? Spirituality and fitness. I knew I could go pray and get closer to God, and I know I can go to the gym and get therapy, right? Because movement is medicine. So now you got this oxymoron, spiritual fitness. I was like, oh, that's who I am. I've always been this spiritually fit guy. I just never showed it to the world because of judgment, because of fear. It's not going to make money and all these things, right? So, spiritual fitness is the embodiment of your true spiritual soul identity when you allow yourself to tap into it, right? So, your idea of fitness might be, let me do plant medicine once a quarter, let me work out 12 days a month, let me fast for 2 days, and let me pray every day. Cool. So teaching people how to tap into their own autonomy. It's not about vanity, it's about longevity. So yes, we move our body with intentions. And if that in that workout, you got 45 minutes of movement. So imagine you and I working out right now, right? And we're having a high level conversation like this. But we're having a conversation around what your intentionality is about what you want to pursue and what your soul wants in its lifetime or what you want to let go of. After that 45 minutes of movement, we come into breath work. We do a few rounds of that. We do affirmation declarations that's encompass of your intentions. And then I pray. And then we put it all. And you just constantly do that, right? So then what I'm writing about in the book or what I'm going to teach people is like how to take it and make it customized to your soul, to your frequency, your evolution, right? You might not need to lift weights for a few days. You might just need to go walk and hike.
Right.
But that's what your soul is telling you,
Right.
right? So when I'm coaching or training someone, I'm intuitive. I can feel what the soul needs to hear to get a person a space to tap into their power. So I'm just giving you the tools and the rules for yourself to tap into your soul, into your power to be who you need to be in this lifetime. So fitness.
I think that's beautiful. I love so spiritual fitness because I feel a lot of people hear the word fitness and they link it directly to just like physical fitness. Um, your definition, it's all encompassing. It's like mind, body, and spirit all together. How you can have that regular practice, daily practice, whatever that might look like for yourself. I think that's beautiful. I love that.
We're interrupting this episode to share something close to our hearts, our virtual healing circles. We have been loving them so much and meeting so many of you incredible people through them. Brittany and I are passionate about bringing people together to support one another and heal in community. We felt alone on our paths for so long, and coming together in community has been instrumental to our growth, and we've both seen the importance in it. We aren't meant to do this alone. In unity and vulnerability, we find strength, courage, and support each other on our paths back to ourselves. Our monthly virtual seminars blend discussions, workshops, and practices to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Whether seeking guidance, healing, or a listening ear, our gatherings offer a safe, inclusive space for people to connect, heal, and grow. Join us on this journey of healing in community. Together we can heal, grow, and thrive. Register for the next circle using the link in the show notes. We hope to see you there.
That's something I like to talk about too. It's like mind, body, spirit. It's like they're all it's like having all three is so, so, so important. And I love how you talk about it's not about vanity. Because I think that, you know, just in the world we live in, it's often about vanity. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy for it to be about vanity. For me personally, I'll just give you an example. I used to have my personal training certification as well. I was super into like physical fitness for a really long time. I was actually a high school PE teacher. And for the longest time, though, I mean, I did bikini competitions. When I was doing competitions, it was from the guise of, oh, it's healthy. You know, I'm doing it for me, when in reality, this is before I went through my healing journey, my awakening, and all of that. And in hindsight, I realized like, oh, that was really, I was doing it for the wrong reasons, but you know, with the guise of it actually being for health and stuff like that. And I feel like just again, the society we live in, it's really easy to blur those lines. Like it's really easy to just want to lose weight, or you know, for men it's like feeling like you need to like have all of these muscles or look a certain way. And true freedom lies outside of that, you know, when we're able to pull away from those constructs that society has impressed upon us, because it's nobody's fault, right? It's, you know, going back to even what you were talking about with the reality TV, I think it's funny. I love how you say reality TV was your mistress and spiritual fitness is your wife. I think that's so beautiful, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in the um I can't think of the word, but the glitz, the glam, the this, the
Yeah,
that, you
Mike
know,
Tyson.
it's
Who doesn't
enticing. Yeah, it's
want to
tempting.
be? Yeah, it's tempting. It's all energy that controls you when you're not aware of it. Because I had to realize when I was in that thread of energy, being on TV so much, it's such a fake, false truth that
Yeah.
you think because of your ego.
Mhm.
And I was really hypercritical of
Mhm, mhm.
myself, of others, and I realized, like, bro, nobody looks like that.
Right.
You don't look like that. This is not real.
Yeah.
What lie are you living?
Right.
But the eyes, they think this is what it's like, and it's like that's not real life. That's fake. That's a highlight reel to make you feel like that's how you should be.
Mhm.
People, guys' abs don't look like that 24/7.
Mhm.
Women's bodies don't look like that all the time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like we're human.
Mhm.
So I had to allow
Mhm.
myself to be human because I was so a perfectionist
Right.
and I was perfect and I wanted to be this nice guy, and I call it the Will Smith effect,
Mm.
where like Will is afraid of being, he's tired of being liked because he's not being himself.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that intensity that's behind the smile, behind the fame, is eating him up.
Mhm.
And I live some of that. Like
Mhm.
I just want to be E from Baltimore. I don't want to be Eric from The Bachelor.
Right.
That's 'cause that paradigm doesn't serve my soul. That
Yeah.
serves my ego. And then
Mm.
I oh, now this TV space, none of the fans, none of the followers can get me out of this rut, but my spirit can.
Yeah.
The God can, right?
Mhm.
Like tapping into that and making that the center
Yeah.
and the foundation of my expansion and evolution into my higher realm of my next best version of myself. So
Yeah. I
it's
think
all fun.
I think that's beautiful. And, what's coming to mind as you're saying all of that. And again, this is nobody's fault, right? This is the fault of society over years and years and years. But people feel like it's like, okay, once I have the abs, once I am successful, once I have some fame or whatever it may be, then I am worthy. It's like they base their worth on these outside things, which is why I think fame or money or whatever it can be, it's like people say money is the root of all evil. Personally, I don't believe that, but because of society, it's like when people come onto fame, when people come onto money, if you're still wounded and you're basing your worth on those things, that's when it can get twisted. That's when it can get dark. That's when it, like you said, it's feeding your ego. And ego is such an important part of this human experience. We wouldn't have this, like, we wouldn't be able to have this experience without the ego. So I don't like to demonize the ego, but it's really important to understand the ego so that so it's not the one in the driver's seat. You know what I mean? It's like you want your soul in the driver's seat. You want your ego in the passenger seat, having fun, being there for the ride, but you don't want it controlling. And I think that a lot of people, it's the other way around. Unknowingly, it's subconscious. But I think this is such an important conversation, as someone who has, like you said, it's like your soul doesn't resonate with being Eric from The Bachelor. Like that feeds your
I
ego.
lived that. I lived that life. I hit those. I think even Will Smith was saying about it in a podcast. He said when you in a material realm, you hit a level of like, even if you don't have as much,
Mm-hmm.
I can feel the energetics of what it's like to have all that. There's nothing there.
There's no fulfillment.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
because for a man, you travel. There's women. There's
Mm-hmm.
parties. Like I lived it. I've done it. I did it.
Mm-hmm.
To know, like, that's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a consistent, diligent, disciplined individual,
Mm-hmm.
and I know what serves my soul. But I had to do those things to have
Mm-hmm.
this wisdom to talk
Mm-hmm.
about it on this podcast. If I don't
Mm-hmm.
grow through these lessons, I
Yeah.
can't get wisdom.
Right.
And so, me, it's not knocking it because I would be a hypocrite to say, don't go after money, don't go after fame,
Right.
like, because I did it all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, you won't really know until you actually have the experience. And your experience might be different than mine, but
Mm-hmm.
I know each person, everybody has something in their soul that wants their attention for their fulfillment.
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. And experience is so important because, yeah, without that experience, like you said, it's like you wouldn't have gained the knowledge that you have now. And I feel like now, just using your voice, you already are such a good example for so many people, and you're just going to continue to be, an example for younger men or even women, whoever. So I'm curious. You created the philosophy. It's miracle season.
Yes.
Can you share what that means to you and how it came to be?
So it's miracle season. It's so beautiful. I love it so much. And here's the thing. This is why your soul is so important when you tap into it, because it's miracle season and spiritual fitness came through my soul. It didn't come
Mm,
from an idea, me sitting down, writing it out. It came to me. So
mm,
it's miracle season came to me March, I think maybe whatever that Thursday was after the final rose in 2017. I found out that me and three other guys were going to go on TV so the Bachelorette can meet some of the cast of her season. I wasn't. They told us March 13th, which was a Monday. My birthday was the 9th, right? But anyway, in my trailer, in my studio, in the CBS Rapid Studios, we're sitting in the trailer with a producer, and I'm about to go on TV for the first time. I got my suit on, and I'm just telling the producer, shouts out to Louis if he listens to this. I said, man, it's miracle season. It's miracle. I just kept saying it, Britt. Like, but I don't know where it came from.
mm,
He's like, oh, my boy, I think when you get out there, you should say that. Like,
mm,
because you keep saying it. And let me tell you something. I went on stage and I said, I'm Eric. I'm from Baltimore. I'm pleased to meet you. I'm looking forward to, whatever I said. You
mm,
ever have a thought about saying something and you say exactly what you wanted to say?
mm,
And then I said, it's miracle season at the end. And we started dancing and the crowd went crazy. It was like I hit a game winning shot.
mm,
First time meeting the Bachelorette on national TV.
mm,
But then I leave the stage. I'm like, wow. He's like, wow, you did a great job. This is my first time. And then what that was was a initiation, activation, a foreshadow
Mm.
for have a miracle on that season.
Mm.
So it's miracle season is a metamorphosis,
Mm.
is a transformation.
Mm.
So not only did I say that before we got started, but I also went through so much emotions because this was my Saturn return. I think I was 29 at the time when I was on
Mm.
the TV at that time, and it was so hard. It was frustrating. I thought I was gonna leave. I was gonna leave the house. It
Mm.
was too much. All these men and me and the bachelorette got into it. Me and a bunch of guys got into it. Like it was. I messed up almost dislocated my shoulder on a basketball day. I
Mm.
fell off the golf course and Hilton hit South Carolina. I messed up my wrist. Like I was just like, what is this? Like I was going through so much,
Mhm.
right? And then we get to Spain, and the same producer said, "I'm gonna be honest, we didn't think you would make it this far, but you did it." Yeah,
Interesting.
got like a pea coat on. I'm in the middle of like France, Europe, somewhere in the alley, 1 in the morning, about to have the fantasy suite date, and I'm like, "Damn, what happened?" He said,
Mm.
"Man, you changed so much, you just grew." And then that day, that night, my spirit was like, "This is your miracle season. Even if you don't win the show,
Mm.
you won the season for you because
Mm.
you transformed, you did fell in love, and then all my dreams came true."
Mm.
So it really it just healed me in ways that I can't explain, and it changed my life. And when I went to Peru last year and I was on a plant medicine, it's like my solar plexus was getting activated. I'm laying down, like I forgot the name, Morocco, I can't pronounce it. And it was like I was like I was on an ab workout. Like my solar plexus was
Mm.
getting hit. I'm like, and so spirit was like, say magic's in the heart, miracles in the solar plexus. And
Mm.
it was like it's miracle season is a healing frequency that ends all suffering, and it's a
Mm.
transmission. And that my soul was chosen for it to come through me to put it out in the world.
Mm.
Oh, so anytime you say it, anytime you see it, even if you don't know, if you're done, it's healing.
Mm.
You don't know that, but I know that.
Right.
Just like a lot of these things we look at on TV, like some of the stuff is MK Ultra, like there's so many hidden things that we're taking in that has entities and attachments on it that's penetrating us in ways we don't, good or bad.
Mhm.
But miracle season is a healing frequency that
Mm.
ends all suffering. And right before that journey, my cousin was in LA. He took some of my like miracle season merch, and he said, "Man, I just love wearing your stuff. Your energy is so good." And he
Mm.
started to cry. What is he crying about? And he's like, "Man, you don't understand, man. Miracle season, man. Like it's changed my life." That was kind of thrown
Mm.
off. I didn't understand. And then I had that experience on the medicine. I'm like,
Mm.
the saying. I was
Mhm.
connected. Like it was actually healing him.
Yeah, the
Right.
frequency of
So
those words.
it's yeah, but it was it just came to me, and
Mhm.
now I'm on fitness, so it's kind of like
You've combined them.
one another.
I love
You
that.
know?
I think that's so powerful, and I love the story behind that. I just had chills as you were talking because, yeah, it's like spirit, we're all vessels, every single one of us, right? And whether we open ourselves up enough to be a vessel, that's, up to us. But it feels like they used you as a vessel on that stage to get that message through. And it's like I write notes on my mirrors, like in my bathroom, like I'll write "I love you" and like stuff like that. I just moved recently, so I'm writing new notes currently like on my mirrors, but in my old apartment I had "You deserve miracles." This time I think I'm going to write "It's miracle season" because I love that. And hearing your story, it was kind of like a foreshadowing, like it's miracle season. That whole, like you said, that whole season was a miracle for you, even though you were going through it. Sometimes in order to like clear the space to open, so that you can receive whatever it is that wants to come in for you, requires kind of like that initiation, right? Walking through the fire. And that doesn't necessarily mean miracles are not happening. That could be the initiation to, whatever is meant to come through after. So thank you for sharing that. I love that. I'm curious, what does a miracle look like in your life right now? And how do you stay open to receiving them, especially as you kind of navigate more challenging moments?
Question. the first thing to mind is love, but I know for sure a miracle to me in today's life of mine is experiencing God energy everywhere I go, even like subtle things. I just got back from Hawaii late last night, like 11 p.m. Right?
Oh my gosh.
We're 3 hours behind LA, so it's 11. It probably be 8 there. And right before I left yesterday morning, uh, my girlfriend went to go do sunrise, and the ocean and it was like God was out there. Like I just felt God energy. And I just sat down and I just prayed, and I'm like, this land, this space is God. And I feel like when I can experience those things and have that certainty in my being and my knowingness, my direct knowing, that's a miracle to me.
Hmm.
That I can impact a person from a show I've done 10 years ago. When I was in the South of France 2 years ago, someone said they need me from TV. And I'm like, how? That was so long ago. So
Hmm.
what's in me that's still impacting someone else who don't even know me? They just saw me, and how there's God in everything, everywhere, all the time. And, you know, it's just my life is based on the little moments that you can't see. That's my miracle. The mass public or population likes to think life is about the big moments that they see me in. Because in my life, I'm always getting the big stuff like, oh, I'm on TV, oh, Dancing with the Stars, oh, Family Food, oh, national commercial, but it's the little things like just the intimate time with a person, or just walking in nature, listening to the birds chirp, and having a divine connection with someone on peace. And that's what brings me miracles. So I just think the subtle God moments is my miracles, and knowing that we all have a gift that we can give if we just listen to it and be still.
I love that. I think that's beautiful. And I love how you say God is in everything. It just, what I was hearing as you said all of that is just presence. It's just really being present in your day to day. It's in the small moments. It's funny. I'm 31 now. And what I really value now is so much different than what I valued way back when. It's like I value slow mornings. I value getting to walk across the street and sit at the ocean. I value time with my loved ones. It's not about the fancy this, the fancy that. Not that, experiencing those things are bad. I want to make that clear. We're human, we're meant to experience all of it. But yeah, I love that. God is in everything. I feel like just the society we live in too, there's so much noise.
Hmm.
So much noise all the time, just TV, music, work, right? A lot of people have like that typical 9 to 5, and or they come home and they have kids, and it's like go, 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 go. And it can be really challenging to quiet that noise. I'm curious if you have any advice for anybody, like how do you silence the noise so that you're able to tap into that presence?
Well, a lot of my silence comes from my morning routine, and I pray a lot. Like I pray so much. I pray for I pray a lot. I pray over everything, right? So that's one prayer in the morning. Breath work is so important. Breath work is like prayer for the body.
Mm,
Meditation, walking. But I think for me as a man, what really brought me more into like the presence of the moment is having a partner. Having someone that, not that you have to connect to, but you have to connect to, where it doesn't matter what I have to get done, right?
mm,
Because that presence with that someone is going to allow me more expansion to get those things done.
mm,
But like the world, like you said, people have families, they have life. We're so stimulated,
mm,
overstimulated, and distracted that we can never be present for ourselves, let alone
mm,
someone else, to know when the next decision is, when we should move, when we should leave a career, a
mm,
relationship, or have kids, or. But for me, it's just silence in the morning when I get up. I pray,
mm,
I do breath work, I take my vitamins, and I hit the gym. Like
mm,
that's right. The gym is my therapy. That's my medicine. Like, yeah, do I want to be fit and look great? Cool, but that's just one aspect. That's only like 20% of it. The other 80 is all internal,
mm.
mental, psychological, and I just really find that inner peace by just slowing down and pausing.
Mm.
I was in Hawaii with my girlfriend. She said something that I've never heard. She was like, "Yeah, that's just bits of connection, bits of
Mhm.
how." And I think this is a man thing where you feel like you got to do so much, and all you got to do is just hug without saying anything, or hold a hand, or kiss a hand, and just walk, just move. You don't even got to say words.
Mhm.
Be
Mhm.
there. It
Present.
doesn't need, yeah, presence.
Mhm.
I'm like, because for so long with my family, with my friends, I was like I'm the father for everybody.
Right.
Do all these things
Yeah.
just to get the love I want,
Yeah.
and be just not doing anything. And they don't want my conversation. They just want me.
Yeah.
They want my vibration.
Mhm. Mhm. Your presence is enough.
Right. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I had on a long journey of giving and oversharing and bro, just relax.
Yeah, and I hear you. I actually resonate a lot with that, and I feel like a lot of the listeners probably will as well. I feel like I know for me, based on, and this is not me blaming my parents. There was a lot of love in my childhood. I love my parents. They did the best they could with the tools they had, but as a result of my childhood and growing up, I have had this subconscious belief that in order to be worthy of love, I need to prove myself. I need to do more. I need to, and in relationships, I was bending over backwards. I ended up attracting these partners that didn't appreciate everything that I was doing. And I'm like bending over backwards, X, Y, and Z, just because subconsciously I'm like, okay, well, I'm not worthy of their love. Or even with friendships, right? I'm not worthy of this friendship unless I show up in this way, unless I sacrifice myself for the
Yeah.
sake of the relationship or whatever it may be. And I feel like that's, a lot of people kind of go through that in their own ways. And obviously, it looks different for everyone based on their journey and whatnot. But I feel like a lot of people, like, we're not taught how to truly love ourselves in this society. We have, I feel, come so far away from, like, a lot of people are not connected with themselves because we're not taught how to be connected with ourselves. We're not taught how to tune into that inner knowing, that soul. You know how you said it's miracle season, it just came to you. That was your soul. That's something from within you, something deep within you. It came to you, absolutely, because you were able to receive it. But a lot of us are so disconnected from that inner voice, and it takes really like quieting down to really start to connect with that again. But it's hard in this world because of what, like you said, we're so overstimulated all the time. And it is changing, though, that it is changing, and it's one step at a time. And it's, people like you and I who feel called to a path like this and deciding to walk this path. And I know a lot of people who are listening are also kind of called to this path that might be seemingly like different than the traditional route. But yeah, this world is shifting and changing, and it's going to take all of us working together. um, I'm curious, what has surprised you the most about your own evolution?
Wow. Mm. I believe is how I can bounce back from things
Mm,
and take a whole nother level.
I love that.
Like like when I went through what I went through in 2023, it was so devastating, and like my heart was broken. Like I was broken. Like
Hmm.
I physically heart was I was afraid to tell people because I'm always helping others. I didn't want people to worry.
Right.
But first I went to Joshua Tree, did a cacao ceremony. Then I went to Peru, and it's like I'm afraid of heights. I never in a million years would have thought I would have hiked Machu Picchu. But that's my life. It's
Hmm.
always these bigness of yes, bigger. That's your last name. These big things,
Hmm. Hmm.
and those things just shifted my frequency into a way where I just jumped major timelines. Like even meeting my girlfriend, like I told her, I was like, you had to go through several plant medicine journeys, hike several mountains
Hmm.
to meet you. And my girlfriend's 8 years older than me, right? So she's spiritual. She's so attuned and
Hmm.
been, like she just gets it. She does grief work,
Hmm.
and to be around a real embodied feminine
Hmm.
presence, so different that
Oh.
I've never experienced that. It's like you have to submit to it.
Hmm.
It's too like so that's what's allowing me to be like. damn, how did like I was just in Hawaii with her. I'm like, damn, how did we like? I met you a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Look what a year does.
Mm.
And this time last year, I was coming back from Peru. She was going to Hawaii, so I just look at these things of. But right before I met her, I was going through so much
Mhm.
darkness.
You were preparing. Your soul was preparing
Yeah,
to hold a relationship like that, right? I feel like a person can only meet another as deeply as they have met themselves, and it feels like your soul was desiring a deeper form of love because it knew that you had the ability to expand to that. So the universe, the mind's like, why am I going through all of this? But your soul, it was simply, yeah, you were expanding and preparing. And it makes me happy for you. Like, I have chills as you're talking about her. It sounds like such a beautiful connection that the two of you have. But I know connections like that don't come about easily. Like, often you have to walk through the fire before you're going to meet before you're meant to meet, that sort of
yeah.
you get what I'm trying to say. I feel like I'm mumbling over my own
Looking,
words, but
I wasn't even looking for it. My astrologer told me last year when she did my reading for the year, you're probably gonna meet someone by the end of the year. I'm not meeting no one. I'm broke. I'm focusing on me. She's like,
mm,
okay. And July of last year, well, we started talking around May of last year,
mm,
and I first met her in person in July,
mm.
and it's to be a year in July that
Oh,
physically in her space, right? And I'm just like, wow, look at life. But for me, like, look at God. Look at God.
mm-hmm.
Because my previous relationship was all about, I made the relationship God.
Right,
Because I tried
right,
to think right. Instead of making a God within me right and
right,
loving myself
right.
and telling myself, I'm not going to put any relationship, family, friend, or partner before my relationship with the Creator. Like, I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Once I just love myself through that lens, then that's, beautiful soul comes into my life
Mm-hmm.
because it was giving me the timeline. Like, you see this timeline, you see what you did here, and now I know, like, if no business or no partnership is not anchored in that God frequency, I don't want to be a part of it. I don't care how
Mm-hmm.
much money, how good it. I don't care.
Right.
I don't. I, I was in that energy that
Mm-hmm.
it looked good, but it doesn't feel good.
Right.
That's why I tell people, tap into your spiritual currency. There's
Mm,
so much in that bank account of your soul that you are not aware until you look in deeply.
right. And it's all in there, right? It's a matter of tapping into that within yourself, which takes time. It takes devotion to self. Um, but what you can unlock as a result of it will change your life. So I love having these conversations with people where it's actually like it's happened. It's like you've been through it, it's shifted your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, as you were talking about your girlfriend and just everything you went through before, what was coming to mind, like, it's miracle season, where you
Yeah.
kind of
Like, I could drop a tear, like, damn. You know what I
hmm
mean? Like, that's how I know how real my God is.
mm,
I thought my dad was going to die that year I went through.
right.
I mean, I was with someone who told me they didn't want to live. Like, what?
Hmm.
I didn't know what to like. It was like it was in a movie.
Right.
But
Yeah.
now look at they call it the laws of polarity. Look at the
Yeah.
contrast.
Justice, like the scales
Yeah,
balancing out, the yin, the
I'm a
yang.
person of I can really manifest things, and I experience things that people want in instance. Like, I don't need 10 years of a relationship to know what people want in love or what women want from a man in intimacy. I can get because I'm really good at embodying things, and I'm so curious about what my soul wants to do in this lifetime. So I'm willing to do the work
Mm,
to get the understanding so I can give it back to the universe.
mm,
Because my design is not about me. I'm a 3811. I'm a life path 11.
mhm,
So I'm a master number. I'm an old soul. I know whatever I accumulate, I gotta give back, right?
mhm,
I'm also a human design generator 3-6. So I gotta learn through experimenting. And
mm,
then I become the mentor, the sixth line, right? So
mm,
all this information, I'm like, oh, that's why I'm like this. Because I used to question that I was too much for someone. My love is overwhelming,
mhm,
and I'm just too much.
mhm,
I'm too intense. So I didn't think there was someone who could receive me
mm,
because I'm different.
mm.
So I felt always like an outsider.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I would try to fit in, but I just don't vibrationally.
Right. I hear you.
Like, oh, there are people that can match your frequency.
Mhm.
The question is, can you match theirs? Right?
Yeah, and I feel like you just, like, more again, this goes back to society. And at the end of the day, as humans, we want connection, right? As humans, we want connection, we need connection. The problem with society is there's so much judgment that people don't feel safe enough to be authentically who they are. Therefore, they wear masks to connect, to fit in. But all that does is attract in the wrong people, right? It's like when you're able to release those masks, remove those masks, step into authentically who you are, even if it's quote unquote a lot, intense or whatever it is, when you're able to radiate that authenticity, you're going to become a match. You're going to become in alignment with those who are meant to come into your life. It's like wearing a costume. When you finally take that costume off, people that are meant to be in your life will finally recognize you. But if you're wearing all of these masks, the costume, they're not going to recognize you. Therefore, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, Steph,
I lived it. Listen, I
you
lived it for
lived
30.
it. You get it.
I was so afraid because here's the thing: people don't even know. Like Brit, like I was so stressed out 2023, and I always was like clean shaven or like 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I had alopecia right here, so I had like
Mm,
a big hole in my beard, so I would keep my hair cut low. But
mm,
also because I'm in Hollywood and outside of TV, I have high end clients,
mhm,
or most of them are Jewish or white.
mm.
I always felt like, oh, I got to code switch. I got to look a certain way. I got to fit in for them to do business with me. I got to do
Yeah.
all these things that
Mm,
people don't even understand what I'm dealing with mentally
mhm,
to show up,
mhm,
because I was so afraid if I grow my beard,
mm.
they wouldn't accept me.
Wow.
You get
Yeah.
so, and this is a whole thing that I had to grow through and realize, like, I'm accepted more
Mhm.
because I'm being myself.
Yeah.
Because the I wore left me empty
Yeah.
when I was down and out. Those people that I was around or I thought had my back, they couldn't give to me because I wasn't what they needed me to be
Right.
the way I was. So
Mhm.
I said, oh, I don't. I said, if I got to start fresh and start over, I'm fine.
Yeah.
God, bring whoever you want to bring, but let them be real, be genuine and
Mhm.
authentic, and I'll start fresh. It's cool. I'm not in no rush. I'm gonna get where I need to go,
I think
but
that's
with the right,
yeah,
right.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. And it's also like to, if you're authentically you, like you said, with your beard and all of the things,
Yeah,
if that deteriorates people, if that like pushes people away from like wanting to work with you, like, okay, like good. Like I don't want to align with those people anyways, because it's, as somebody who has, been through my own fair share of judgment and, all of this without getting into details, it's like, it can be hard. It's like not always easy to fully authentically be yourself, especially when you are met with resistance. And you will be met with resistance, but that's also okay, right? That's not a bad thing. Looking to connect with like-minded community on your journey of self-growth, self-love, and spiritual discovery? Join the Beehive, a supportive community hosted by Holly and I, designed to help you on your personal transformation and healing journey, and to help you tap into your innate wisdom with live monthly Q&A sessions, exclusive content, and a like-minded community. The Beehive is the perfect space to grow and step into your most authentic self. For more information and to sign up, check the link in the show notes. Just like really quick, I was at the beach the other day and I got judged so hard because I was wearing a poncho that I bought from Peru. I bought it from Peru. I supported this local woman who made it with her own hands, and it's so beautiful. Like, it's so beautiful. I love it. It's warm and cozy. And I've been just like grabbing it and wearing it to the beach. And the first time I did it, I was kind of like, oh, are people going to like look at you funny? And then I was like, just conversation with myself. I was like, do you know what? Who cares? Who gives a shit, Brittany? Like, it's warm, it's cozy. Like, wear your freaking poncho. So I've been doing that. And the other day, I was hit with resistance in a way like I haven't experienced face to face before. Like, with my TikTok platform, I'm used to like, getting a lot of hate online and all of that stuff. And, that doesn't really phase me anymore, but I've never really dealt with it in my face like this. This woman looked me up and down. She was literally snarling at me and then laughed at me. And I'm laughing now, but I was like, oh my God, like just my existence, just by being minding my own business, I triggered her so much. And it's coming to realize, like, do you know what? That's okay. Like, I know that I just mirrored a level of freedom that I've reached within myself that she's yet to reach. And that's okay. So I guess just like for those listening, just acknowledging too, it's not always easy to show up authentically, but it's okay if, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. That's
Mhm.
okay. It's not a bad thing. Anyways, I'm kind of going off on a side tangent, but
No, I think it's beautiful because I want to, add to that because not only is it hard to not be authentic, but it's hard to be authentic when you have successful not being authentic. When
mm,
all the people pleasing I was doing and all the sharing and the giving because I
mm,
want love because I had this abandonment wound was serving me. Oh yeah, look at me, I'm successful. And then your soul hits a wall like, huh, guess what? Party's over, bro. No, 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 no. And the biggest thing that you have to get to in this life, you must love yourself unconditionally.
mm,
There was three questions I asked myself. I said, if I'm not helping someone, do I love myself? If I'm not looking a certain way, do I love myself? If I'm not successful, do I love myself? And all those answers were no.
mm,
I said that's bad. You only love yourself if you're accomplishing, helping, or look a certain way. Oh, bro, you got work to do.
mm,
So at that point on, I'm in my apartment in tears, like I'm gonna love myself how I am. If
mhm,
I'm off, because I live this life where if I'm too energetic, relax. If I'm too down, hey, lighten up, you okay? It's like,
mhm,
damn if I do, damn if I don't. I'm like, no, I'm sad today. Let me be sad.
mm,
You're not used to seeing me like that, so that makes you uncomfortable.
mm, mhm.
You're used to seeing bubbly and positive pouring into people. I'm not on that mood today.
Yeah.
So I realized like I'm gonna choose how I want to feel because this is where I'm at, and I love me because at the end of the day, I know my power.
Mm,
And here's the thing for other people that's gonna be listening, whether you judge or whether you don't, there's gonna be people in a few years or maybe in a few months that's judging you now, Britt. That's gonna come to your platform and need you. I
yeah.
promise. Because I always tell people, they always say, well, we need to pray. We always talk about like the LA fires. We pray when devastation happens. Like, no, you need to pray all the time. You need to
Mhm,
be doing your spiritual work all the time. You need to be meditating. You need to do all the things that's going to connect you to your soul because there's going to come a time where we're all going to need each other,
yeah.
right?
Mhm,
And so, but people got to live their life. They're in a different journey. And look, some people are not going to get to the awareness that we might have, and that's okay.
yeah.
We love you still. I just know I've been here before, and I'm not going to let myself stop being myself because of your opinion.
Mhm.
Because when the smoke clears, none of these people are around. I lived it.
Right.
when I, even I was telling my mom, my dad, my cousin when I was going through so much. I
Mhm,
was just on TV in 2023, and I was in such a dark space. The world would not know. Eric, I'm proud of you. I'm going back to my
mm,
hotel in New York. I'm lonely. I'm by myself. I just broke up with my ex that year. I got rid of my management. I got rid of everybody. I
mm,
come back to LA. I'm bedridden for 5 days, and I was like, I'm crying, Britt.
mm.
And I'm like, where's everybody at?
Yeah.
The people. Like, I was like, oh, God's like, yeah, it's just you and I. So
Mm,
get closer to me.
mm,
I got you. And from that point on, I'm like, I don't care what anyone says. I know what I know is that God is real, and I gotta stay connected to that.
mhm,
No matter how great the love is, the money is, the fame, these conversations,
mhm,
I know it's certain. And it's just a awareness of we all have something in us that we can't see that supports us.
mhm,
And I think it's important for people when they can to tap into that energy.
mhm,
And sometimes it takes a little harshness and some
mhm.
breakthroughs
Yeah.
and breakdown
Mhm,
to get to that
mhm.
revelation.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I had chills as you're talking. I think that's yeah, it's so true and so real. And um yeah, it's sometimes like I read tarot and the tower is coming to mind, which is the card of like crumbling. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes it requires the crumbling for the and then for the rebirth to happen, for the light to shine through. But thank you so much for this conversation and
I want to ask you a question. I'm just curious.
mhm.
You believe, I can't speak on women, but just from a man's point of view, I don't know why I'm asking you, but my spirit is compelled. Do you believe a man has to be broken, like heartbroken, to experience love, like real love?
That's a do I think a man needs to do that? Whew, I have chills. That's yeah, let me sit with that for a second. I think so this is the thing. I think that we are all on our own unique journey. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's so hard to like put yourself into somebody else's shoes. We could try our best, right? But unless we've actually walked through what they've walked through, it's really, really difficult. I think that depending on your life circumstance, like for some people, it depends on what they've experienced and whatnot,
Yeah.
right? Based on their environment, their upbringing. But I do feel like, yeah, like I almost want to say yes, like there needs to be some sort of breaking,
Uh,
to fully, it's the yin and the yang, it's the light and the dark. We're here to experience all of it. As humans, we chose to forget coming down here, knowing that, we would eventually go on a path of remembering. And I also feel like not everybody chose that path either. Like some people, for whatever reason, their journey is not to remember. And that's, their soul is gaining whatever their soul chose to, receive in that lifetime. But I do think that there is something about the breaking, whatever that might look like. Now, that might look different for different people depending on, what I'm saying, like their experience and whatnot. Like maybe for a person, their breaking happens in childhood, given whatever experiences that they kind of like undergone. Do you know what I'm saying? And maybe for other people, their breaking is later on in life. That's a tough question. I feel like there's probably layers to answer that. You know?
yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
Well, because I tell people like we all have pain points in our journey. Like I mean, I was broken before I was healed. Like
Yeah.
when I was a kid, like I didn't get the love I wanted from my mom, so I never felt love from
Mhm.
the feminine energy. So I always was kind of like stiff arm it, like get away.
Mhm.
But then I was single for so long. I'm like, at some point, I got to allow love into my heart, right?
Mhm.
And then my heart got severely broken because then I let love in for the first time and it shattered me.
Yeah.
But then that shattering, I feel like it opened me up to
Yeah.
more.
Mhm.
Where now I'm just like, bring it. Like
Mhm.
now I got a real healthy love in my
Mhm.
heart that I can feel that's so natural. But I feel like if I didn't have that break in or
Yeah.
I couldn't experience the bliss of what I'm having now, just in life.
Yeah.
Because I think it's say for instance someone who's come from money, who's all the money in the world, which is great, right? And they never experience any type of real debt or really setbacks or challenges. Not that they don't have problems,
Mhm.
then they don't. You can not that you got to relate to everybody. You can't really relate to people on the other end of the spectrum,
Mhm.
right? 'Cause I have clients who make tons of money, and I have people that live in poverty where they think they should pay more taxes, and but I don't think they know if 50% of their money would went to taxes, they would have a, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's a polarity of life that you can't judge much if you can't relate it. And so I think to really experience, in my mind, I think every man, I can't say woman,
Mhm.
because I even asked men today that been in married, I'm like, bro, you ever think you've been in love? And I'm like, I think I love my wife. I don't think I've been in love with her. So I'm just like,
Mm.
wait, what's that about? Not that they have to be in love.
Yeah.
I think that level of vulnerability within yourself to open yourself up to that type of experience
Yeah.
comes from death or rebirth or you know transformation.
Yeah.
That's what I just was moved to ask you that.
I
But that was a great.
Do you know what
I get
though?
it.
There's something else I want to say, like as you're talking. I think that again, given the society we live in, we're not taught how to truly love ourselves. And I think in
Right.
order to meet a deep love, you have to love yourself at a very deep level. And given the
Exactly.
society we live in, like you said, a lot of people have trauma from childhood. Like I didn't receive love from my parents the way, I needed either, even though there was love there, it was very conditional. So I didn't fully understand that either. And I needed to go through my own breaking, like 2023, from 2022 to 2024, 2023 especially, some of the hardest things that I ever needed to go through, but the most expansion that I've ever been through as well. And to your point, it's like I agree with you. I feel like a lot of people are lacking that level of love because they haven't gotten there on their own, within themselves yet. And I feel like if a soul is ready for that, you are going to experience a breaking because that's what's almost needed in the society we live in. However, over time, if society shifts and changes, and if we teach our young ones how to genuinely love themselves, do you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily think that's a need for every single person to
Right.
experience that deep of love, but does that make sense how I'm trying to articulate
Yeah,
that?
I mean, you definitely understand my response to it because now I'm thinking like you're right. If you raise a child who has genuine deep love from their parents, they don't have to experience heartbreak to experience real love, right?
Yeah.
Because they grew up in the blueprint of healthy love,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be hard for them to manifest or attract that.
Yes. Yes.
That makes sense. That's why I asked you the question because my spirit needs that answer.
There is something there.
How
Yeah.
that work?
That's interesting. And I feel like there's probably, I mean, hey, the listeners, if you have any takes on this, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments and whatnot. I'm curious, is there anything that you'd like to leave the audience with today? Anything that you're working on currently, or any pieces of advice, or anything at all?
The three P's: peace, presence, prayer. If
Mm,
you do things as consistent as you know, and look, I'm not a religious person, but I understand religion, and I'm not saying prayer has to be attached to some religion, but that religion would be of your soul.
I love that.
That part of that, and just try your best to have some grace and compassion for yourself,
Mm,
and try your best to be the most authentic you can be because it is hard. It is challenging.
mm,
I had therapy 2 years ago, and the guy told me, he said, only 1% of people are authentic, 99% of people are not. And I was like, interesting.
mhm,
And they say authenticity, certainty, is just as potent as love,
mm,
right?
mhm.
So with that, I just be yourself. And yeah, I do have spiritual fitness pop up June 5th in Toronto. I'm not sure when this episode comes out. So that'll be 5:30 p.m. to 7 downtown Toronto. You can follow me on Instagram at Eric Bigger. DM me, connect, follow my YouTube, download the podcast, Spiritual Fitness Podcast. And my biggest thing is I want to build with people. I don't want people to just come in like, oh, like me, follow me, because I'm saying it. I want you to really resonate with my energy.
Mm,
If it resonates, then follow or connect. If
mhm,
not, it's fine. I
mhm,
don't. I want genuine people to know that what I'm doing and what I'm bringing to the world is true authenticity through my experiences
mm.
and how I live, and that we all can be ourselves and we all deserve acceptance, love, and gratitude. So, with that being said, keep your peace, stay present, and always pray. So,
Thank you. I love that. The three P's:
yeah,
presence, peace, and prayer. That's beautiful. So thank you again so much for your time. And for those listening, all of Eric's like socials and the way that you can follow Eric or whatever, if you feel aligned, will be in the show notes below. I'm also not exactly sure when this podcast is going out. I'm going to have to check with the editor and whatnot. But if it's out before June 5th, I'll have all of that in the show notes below as well for your pop-up in Toronto. But yeah, thank you again so much for your time, Eric. And thank you for those listening. And we will see you next Wednesday. Bye, guys.
As we wrap up today's episode, we want to extend our deepest gratitude for joining us on this journey. Your support does not go unnoticed. If you enjoyed this episode and find value in our conversations, please take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback not only helps us grow, but also allows us to reach more people who can benefit from our community of healing and support. Every review, every rating makes a difference. Thank you for being a part of the Multiple Truths podcast family. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Multiple Truths podcast. Keep speaking your truth and spreading your light. We love you, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.